The first day of free agency is nothing but money. Everybody's getting paid. It doesn't matter who you are, you're getting paid this summer. DeMar DeRozan re-signs with the Toronto Raptors for 5 years, $139 million. Congrats to the Raptors being able to keep their star player, because in their history, whenever they draft somebody and he turns out to be a beast, he turns out to be something special, he always leaves in free agency. It's happened so many times. Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, and actually when Chris Bosh left, I remember DeRozan tweeted something like, "It's okay, I'm here now," or something, trying to reassure the fans. That was the year that he got drafted. And I remember in the playoffs when they got eliminated, a lot of people were bringing up that tweet saying, hey, he might be just like Chris Bosh, leaving via free agency, but he is going to re-sign. Same thing as Lowry, so that's a good sign. Ever since the NBA changed the rules and how much money you can offer players when they're from your team to max them out, players are starting to stick around. So the Raptors, it has to feel good, and they got some great fans. When they were eliminated by the Cavs in Game 6, the fans were still chanting, showing a lot of love, and at the press conference after the game, LeBron James even had to comment on how great the fans were in Toronto. By being able to retain their stars, it keeps them in the mix. They made it to the conference finals for the first time, so that's a great sign for them. Next up, we got to talk about Bradley Beal. He gets $128 million for 5 years, and this is one of those contracts you see a lot of people complaining about, saying, how is Bradley Beal getting this max money? He's a good player, but is he really that good of a player? The biggest upside for him is that he's only 23 years old, and a lot of these players that are getting max deals, they're coming off their rookie deal. Usually this is when they get paid, and then if they develop further, they continue to get paid until they retire. Everybody has to remember that the salary cap went up this year, so that's why a lot of people are getting so much money. This happens every year. I remember when Gordon Hayward got max money, and people were like, huh? Gordon Hayward with the max? And now you see a lot of guys getting max, and he's not the only one, so we're going to keep talking about this. Next up, we got Andre Drummond. He's getting $130 million to re-sign with the Pistons. This is another young player with huge potential, beasting and feasting, putting up numbers. So he's got to get that max money. Next up, we got Nicolas Batum getting a $120 million contract, 5 years with the Charlotte Hornets. Another guy that people are saying, should he really get this max money? Now, what's interesting about Batum is that now the Charlotte Hornets, they actually just lost Al Jefferson. He signs with the Indiana Pacers for $30 million, 3 years. And Jeremy Lin as well, he's going to leave the Hornets. He's going to the Nets for $30 million, 3 years. So because they had to sign Batum, they couldn't keep all these other guys, and these guys are gone now. And it's crazy because Al Jefferson, we kind of forgot about him in free agency. This is a very capable big man, a very good, solid veteran, and he's only $30 million. Meanwhile, the Knicks are getting ready to sign Joakim Noah to looks like $70 million. So Knicks fans are like, hey, they just got Al Jefferson for $30 million. We're going to pay $70 million for Noah. Holy moly. Knicks fans are saying, why didn't we go after Al Jefferson? Now, all of a sudden, the Pacers are looking pretty legit. They've got Jeff Teague. They still got Paul George. They add Al Jefferson. They got Monte Ellis. Maybe they trade him. Maybe they don't. Who knows? So the Lakers, they pick up Timothy Mozgov in free agency from the Cleveland Cavaliers. 4 years, $64 million. They also re-signed Clarkson for $50 million, 4 years. A lot of people saying, hey, that's a pretty good deal. He's getting underpaid. He's not getting max money. He's getting some pretty good money. And then in a shocking move, the Miami Heat re-signed Hassan Whiteside to a $98 million 4-year deal. And apparently it's not set in stone yet because he's willing to have some wiggle room if the Miami Heat can get Kevin Durant. Yes, that is what he said. He said if they can get Kevin Durant, he's going to wiggle that contract a little bit. So that makes this very interesting going forward. It's still very complicated. But Pat Riley knows how to get complicated things done. They have to trade Dragic. They have to get rid of McRoberts. It's just like what they had to do before to get LeBron. They're going to have to dump the rest of the team in order to make this work. But the scary thing is that if they somehow pull this off, the team is going to be looking mean. You're going to have Dwyane Wade still there. Kevin Durant in his prime. Chris Bosh is currently injured, but he's looking to come back. He currently has a max deal as well, and he is a great player for this lineup. He can stretch the floor. He can go in the post a little bit. He plays decent defense in the paint. He's a good pick and roll defender. Then they have Hassan Whiteside, a guy that the Heat were hoping that they had and praying for all those years with LeBron. They could never get that center. And now they have a center. They have their shot blocking, rebounding, defensive stopping machine. This team would be so mean. All those years with LeBron and Bosh and Wade, they had guys like Joel Anthony as the center, or Birdman, Chris Andersen. But Dwyane Wade, you know he wants to get paid. You know he's looking at all these max contracts, all these guys getting big deals, and he's been taking less money for 4 or 5 years now. It's going to be very tough to pull off. It still is a dream, but you just never know with Pat Riley, the mob boss, like I said in the last video. But now we have a very interesting plot happening for the Portland Trail Blazers. They've already reached out to Chandler Parsons. They're looking to get a max deal for him, but they're also looking to add Dwight Howard into the mix. So if you add Dwight Howard, Chandler Parsons, you've already got Damian Lillard, and you got CJ. That's a very interesting situation there in Portland because they were competing. They were in the playoffs. They were competing with the Warriors. They choked in the fourth quarter, usually in the third or fourth quarter. That's when the game got out of control, but they would be fighting in that first half. So if you add in Dwight Howard for defense, you add in Chandler Parsons to give you another boost. Now all of a sudden, if they play the Warriors or some of these other teams, they're going to be much better off. So this is very interesting. This free agency has already started off in a great way. We're seeing a lot of things happening. And we also have a little bit of drama. OJ Mayo was actually supposed to be a free agent, but today the NBA has banned him from the league for his drug violation. Now this is crazy news because the NBA, they have a rule. It says that if a player tests positive for a drug of abuse, he will be dismissed and disqualified from the NBA. Now the NBA didn't say what drug it was that OJ Mayo tested positive for, but here's a list of some of the drugs that they have banned in the league. Cocaine, LSD, heroin, codeine, morphine, PCP, steroids, performing enhancing drugs, masking agents, marijuana, HGH. There's a whole bunch of drugs that are on the list, so we don't know what it is. We don't know what it was. But I remember Stephen A. Smith on ESPN saying, stay off the weed. You remember him always saying that? So maybe it was, I don't know what it is, but this is just sad. According to the NBA, he could reapply for reinstatement to the NBA, but he has to wait 2 years. 2 seasons from now, he can reapply. That doesn't mean that he's going to be allowed back in, but at that point, he can reapply and attempt to get back into the NBA. And the sad thing about this ban is if you look at the list of players that have gotten the same ban, there's not that many. The last player to get this ban, this disqualification, was Chris Birdman Andersen back in 2006. And then if you look at the rest of the players on this list, most people won't even know who they are. Stanley Roberts, Roy Tarpley, Mitchell Wiggins, Lewis Lloyd, Michael Ray Richardson. And most of these players, they got banned in the 90s and the 80s. So it's really unheard of for a guy to get banned like this. OJ Mayo was making new moves. Looking at this list makes me think it's not PEDs because there have been players that have been caught taking PEDs like Rashard Lewis and Jameer Nelson. He was probably doing some hard drugs, some heroin, cocaine, or something like that. But with everything that happened today, all these players getting paid, it makes you wonder. If these guys can get $100 million contracts, all the guys that we've seen today, then somebody like LeBron James, he should be able to sign a $350 million deal. Kevin Durant should be able to sign a $350. Maybe they should change the rules. Maybe they should allow real star players, like there has to be a criteria. You have to be an MVP or something. They have to make something where those players could go way over the cap and receive crazy money, but it has to be the team that they're already on. I don't know. It just seems weird that LeBron, if he gets a max contract, he's going to get the same money as DeRozan or as Drummond or Bradley Beal. You know Pat Riley's going to put those rings on the table. You know he's gonna try to brainwash. He's gonna try to hypnotize Kevin Durant like he hypnotized LeBron James. The Godfather offers, giving him an offer he can't refuse. He looks like a mob boss, doesn't he? Doesn't Pat Riley look